Okay, back to recording. Okay, as I was saying before I had to stop recording just then, I have a mess up. See, let me zoom in really up close so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. This blue, of course, is the river. The different shades of blue represent different depths, meaning blue is a nice, deep, big, wide river, whereas this light blue is a lot more shallow. This yellow should actually be the red in the index, because the red is where rivers split, yellow is where they come back together. So my current map actually has some graphical errors because of that. Very simply, we're not going to bother with making a river, as this is just a very simple how to do every single different file as needed. So just note, you go to the vanilla, you open up the vanilla one as well, click your river to get your colors as you need them, and deep blue is deep river, light blue is a shallow river, red where a river splits into two, yellow where two rivers merge into one, and at the start of the river should be one single green pixel. Now if you have multiple rivers meeting up at one spot, or merging, like let's say this merged here, only one of these would have a green pixel. So, the white is your land, and this pinkish color is all the ocean. A little tip for rivers: your rivers should come out into the ocean so that they, because if they don't, it looks a bit odd when the river narrows to a point on the edge. You might see what I mean if you open a mod and see, wait. Okay, so anyways, I'm going to do what I did with the topology and just create one giant, huge landmass with no rivers. So I'm going to create a new layer and paint bucket it white, delete the old one. So remember, before you can save this, it's got to be re-indexed. So that's image, mode, indexed, color, index color, and see, this is what I was talking about earlier when Photoshop doesn't do as it's supposed to. Is the palette should not be exact, because while we have only one color, yes, the Clausewitz engine will read the location. So let me open the rivers. So the white is actually here in the bottom right, whereas the exact had it in the top left here. It would have seen the entire file as one giant river starting position, causing it to not run correctly. So remember, you need to save your color tables before you start editing. There we go. There is our completed rivers.bmp. So now we're going to save rivers.bmp as, of course, .bmp in the same folder where we put our topology and provinces.bmp. Not going to do the spiel about Windows again. 8-bit, no compressed, no flip rope order, and there we go, completed rivers.bmp. I know it's not very detailed and this map will probably look very bad, but it gets the job done. Okay, next, trees. I'll actually leave that file alone. I'm going to open it so you can see several things about it. First of all, it is indexed, so save its index. Secondly, it is not the same size as the other files. I don't suggest changing its size, because my project map is actually a fourth of the size of the vanilla map. I did not change the size of trees.bmp. The game scales this to the appropriate size. So just don't worry about the size issue when you go to edit it. You may notice there are several different colors here, types of green. This green here over on the left side is the Russian, the very deep north type of trees. This more average type of green is the trees you would see in England or France or Germany. Very mild and temperate trees. Down here, this sort of brown green, like dead leaves, is the tropical trees, such as along the Nile River. Those are the different types. Make sure they match up with the index. I am not going to change this since it actually will have no bearing on the current map. Okay, lastly we have, well not last, but we have terrain.bmp. This is a much more complicated piece, I've got to say. I'll explain what each of these colors are. You can just observe the vanilla map, but just for the sake of making sure nobody's upset, let me explain all. This white is just a completely blanketed in snow area. This gray over here on the mountains, it mixes the mountain terrain, and it's mountain with snow spread out on it, and this dark brown is just mountain. Using a mix of the three, you can create mountains that gradually become covered in snow as they go higher up. Now remember, this white, gray, and brown does not create a mountain. It merely lays the paint on the ground. You have to go to the topology and make brighter areas to create mountains. Remember, topology determines the height, not the terrain. Down here we have desert. This lighter brown is craggy rockland. It's not mountain, but it's not quite desert. You can see great example of it over in Anatolia, which, for those who don't know their geography, is where the Byzantine Empire is, just north of Israel. This light shade of green is tropical, meaning it, well, not exactly tropical. It's like a mix between sand. It's for gradually shifting between sand and normal grassland. You can see great example of that along the side of the Nile River. Again, that is in Egypt. This green here adds forest ground. Remember, this doesn't add the trees, it just paints the ground to look like there's fallen branches and stuff. This dark green, this bluish green is like in Russia, where there is where it's a much deeper and thicker woods. So that's the different colors. Remember, they are indexed, so you need to go Image, Mode, Color Table, Save it where you're going to need it. To edit it, you must go Image, Mode, Red, Green, Blue, Mode, Color Mode. Now I'm going to just fill in my ocean with grassland, and I'm just going to leave everything else. Yeah, it'll look really weird, but I'm not going to deal with it at the moment, as this is just a tutorial. So, I don't know if I mentioned it or not, just going to restate it just in case. This green you just saw me put in the water is just normal grassland, and that blue, of course, was water. So now we're going to re-index this, make sure it's indexed. Don't want to use previous. It may fill our other requirements of transparency not checked and all that, but previous is most likely the one used for trees or rivers. Yeah, rivers.bmp. So remember, these colors aren't right, it won't be able to read the file correctly, and it will crash on startup. Make sure you save a copy of the original color table. Did you notice that color shift right here? Scroll back in the video to see it, because that will be the sign of a misused index color table. So there we go, it's re-indexed. Going to save as in our folder, .bmp, overwrite the old one. 8-bit depth, no compress, no flip row order. There we go, that is terrain.bmp. Yes, okay. Now, world normal height map. As you can see, mine is blank. Oh, it isn't quite blank. I apparently left something way up here in the top left, as you can see. But anyways, this file is, while it is not indexed, basically you should just take this shade of blue, which is the red, green, blue values for it are 128, 128, 255. You should just take that value and blanket the whole thing in it. For the simple fact that the game cannot accept custom normal world normal height maps, and will either use the correct one, the vanilla one, or just a blank one. So okay, so that is, now we have to come in here into the terrain the terrain folder and scroll down till we find, not textures, where is it? We need to find the color map and color map water.dds. Now, you need the DDS for Photoshop. You need the DDS, the NVIDIA DDS plugin, which can be found on this page as soon as it loads. This is what the page looks like as of March the 20th, 2013. I'm going to zoom in on the as you can see, this, oh, I apologize, I'm not very versed in the tool I'm using. But yes, it is https developer.nvidia.com /legacy-texture-tools. That is the page that has the DDS utility needed. So remember, you have to get this before you can edit the following files. We need to open colormap.dds, load using default sizes. This is not indexed, but I suggest you go back and get the one from the vanilla game, so you can use the colors from where you were. I believe I used England for this green and deep ocean for this, just the ocean for this blue. This green paints different colors along the ground, meaning if I used a more, not colors on the ground, it doesn't replace the texture, but it changes the color a bit. Like, both France and Spain have plains within them, but the plains of France are green, like grass, whereas the plains of Spain are a lot more yellow, like the like a bit more desert than normal grassland. So that's what this does. Again, this is not indexed, but you need to use the correct, I would suggest using the correct colors from the vanilla game. When we save it, we need to save it as a either a .dds is what we need to save it as in the terrain folder within our map. Excuse me one